Hey guys, it is Christine. Welcome back to my channel. I am sitting down because I've got 10 minutes to spare and I wanted to film something for you because I've not been able to sit down and film in a long time. If you follow me over on Instagram, you'll have seen we've been sick for a very long time. And yeah, motherhood has just been all-consuming. Which is fine. We go through seasons where that is all you can do is sit and cuddle babies. And so that is what's been happening. I tried to actually film this before with my 3-year-old on my lap, and that was not working because she wanted to talk the entire time. So she's too much like her mother. But today, I wanted to bring to you a Q&A. I asked some questions, or didn't ask questions. I asked for your questions over on Instagram, and today I'm going to answer them. So if you want to know the answers to the questions you asked, keep watching. So if you are new, I am a homeschooling mom of 3. I share homeschool content here on this channel, and I would love to have you join, so please go ahead and subscribe, like this video if you enjoy it. I'm going to jump right in and start answering questions because I don't know how much time I have before my children will need me again. So first of all is I tried the Good and the Beautiful new preschool, and my daughter wasn't catching on. Any tips? I would say, first of all, how old is your daughter? Because I think in these early years, it can be very easy to think that a certain curriculum isn't working, when in actual fact, it's like developmentally very normal for them not to be catching on just yet. So I wouldn't stress about them not catching on until they're more like age 6, 7. I think that if children want to do school before then, that's totally fine. My daughter Annie was like into doing textbook schoolwork stuff super early on. She was probably like 3. She was begging for it. But in saying that, she's only just turned 5, and I would say only now the letter sounds and all that are really starting to click for her. And so even though she was keen to learn, didn't mean that her brain was necessarily ready to retain everything that she was being taught. So I think there's 2 options. If your child's asking to do school, then by all means do school with them. But don't feel any pressure for them to be retaining what you're teaching them. However, I would say that that's like at a young age. If they're a bit older and they're still not getting it, I don't know, maybe try a different curriculum, try and figure out why they might not be retaining things. But I really would just say put it away and take a break and come back to it and see how she does later on, because it could just be that she's just not ready for it yet. She might need more hands-on learning, more play-based learning. Explore the options. It's a fun time to do it. You're really not going to damage them by trying a few different things and figuring out what works the best. Okay, next question is, what was your college/university experience like with having been homeschooled? So if you don't know, I was homeschooled from the age of 11 through to graduation. So I graduated like just before I turned 18, I think. Yes, because I started nursing school when I was 18. So I went straight from school to college. So what I did is I actually went to a polytech, which is a much less expensive version of university. I still got just as great an education, but I was able to stay at home, and so I saved a lot of money. Like I didn't have to pay accommodation and all that kind of stuff and travel costs. I would say that in general, I actually didn't love my experience, my tertiary education experience, but it didn't have anything to do with being homeschooled. I didn't struggle academically. In fact, I did really well academically. I think a lot of that is because when you're homeschooled, you're used to being self-motivated with your schoolwork, especially in the high school years. Like by the time I graduated, from high school, I was like doing all my school on my own, and my mom was just there if I really needed help with something. But like basically I dictated my own schedule and everything by that point. And so moving into tertiary education was very natural flow on. I think I struggled in the sense that I didn't love all the content of what I was being taught. So I went into nursing. I loved nursing once I graduated and started the job. And I almost actually gave it up after the first year of college because I just had such a miserable experience with the kind of nursing I was put into straight away, and just The system is very, very different from when, like, say, my mother trained, because my mother was a nurse, my grandmother was a nurse, and it was a lot more like apprentice-like, where you're paid straight away, you go in, it's a lot of like practical experience. It's very much flipped now, where most of it is theory, and then you do more practical as the years go on, but a lot of it is theory. And I don't know, I just struggled with a few different things, but it wasn't anything academic. It was just me not enjoying all of the aspects of it. So I don't know how to explain it other than it was just like a lot of stuff that you had to say to pass the paper, but it actually didn't have any impact on how I practically nursed further down. I don't know if that makes any sense. But I did love nursing. I absolutely loved it. I will say that the first year of nursing college, all my anatomy and physiology was pretty much repeat, because in my final year of homeschooling, I had done an anatomy and physiology university level course, and so it was just repeat, which was great. So it just solidified things for me and helped me get my footing in that area. So yeah, academically, no, I didn't struggle. Socially, no, I didn't struggle. I made friends like right away, but I am an introvert, so I don't like being with tons of people. So I didn't love that aspect of it, but that has nothing to do with homeschooling. Like, I was like that when I went to public school as a child. So I don't know if that explains anything. Academically, I did fine. I don't think that homeschooling had any negative impacts on my college experience. Let's put it that way. And a lot of people often ask, like, how do you transition? So they can accept a like portfolio. That's what my mom did. She just put together a portfolio of the work I had done in high school, and then we had a meeting with the head of the nursing school, and they accepted me based on that. And I think it was like with the expectation that if I didn't make it through the first year, then they had no obligation to keep me on, but they would give me the first year. And I think a lot of universities in New Zealand are like that with homeschoolers. They'll give you like a year, and if you don't pass, then they have no obligation to keep you on. But generally speaking, it's been fine. When will you get to meet the triplets? So if you're new around here, my brother and his wife had triplets a few weeks ago now. They are, thankfully, in their hometown hospital now. So when they were born in a hospital that was like 2.5 hours from where they lived. They were transported to one that was, or transported as well, transferred to one about an hour and a half from where they live, and now they're finally in their hometown. So that is a massive blessing. I don't know when I'm going to meet them, because it won't be until they're at home for sure, because of the rules with the NICU and everything. And so it won't be till they're home. So I'm hopeful it'll be sometime in the next month, but who knows? I want to make sure, we've been sick, and so I want to make sure we're like well and truly very much over that and healthy, which I'm sure we will be very soon. But yeah, so hopefully in the next month. Their due date was, I think, like mid-December, and that's kind of the goal that most NICUs have for getting babies home, preemie babies home. So hopefully then. They're doing super, super well though, and as of today, all 3 are off of any kind of breathing support, and they're in like regular cribs now. They don't have to be in incubators anymore, and so they're just working on making sure that they can feed properly and hopefully be able to get rid of the NG tubes, and then they can go home, which is really exciting, also terrifying for my brother and his wife. So yeah, hopefully it'll be before Christmas, and we're expecting to have a really big family Christmas this year, hopefully, because the world is madness right now, so you just never know, but that is what we hope for. It'll be amazing. Another question is, did you enjoy homeschooling as a kid? I did really enjoy homeschooling. I like learning. I'm pretty self-directed. I'm fairly self-motivated. Even as a child, I was like that. So yes, I mean, there's always aspects of school that I think kids don't enjoy, and I would say it was just very normal for me, but I don't have any negative experiences about homeschooling. Like when people say, what are the pros and cons? For me, there really weren't any cons. I really enjoyed it. It was a good experience for me. Question, how do you do the reading chart? Okay, so for this one, I have a reading chart that I created for my son, and I actually have it available now in my shop. It's like a 99-cent download, so it's very affordable if you want to have a look at what it is. I'll have it linked in the description below. Essentially, I made it because my son was really struggling with motivation to read, and I just felt like I was nagging him and making it a miserable experience. And so I created a reading chart, and it's got like up to 100 on it, and you can create your own goals for your child. So it could be every 10 books, every 5 books, every whatever. I did it every 10 books now. So every 10 books, he gets a small treat. Once he gets halfway, he'll get a bigger treat to celebrate. And then once he gets to 100, we'll do something really exciting for him to celebrate reading all those books. And it has worked tremendously well. It's a very simple concept, but it's worked well for us. So that's how I use it. I've got it linked in the description if you want to check it out. Another question is, how do you deal when your children are not focusing or listening? I have a 5-year-old daughter. We struggle with these things. I think that's totally fair, and I think every homeschool parent deals with that. I think I try my best to address why it is that they're not focusing or listening. Is it because they're tired? Is it because they haven't got their wriggles out and they need some physical activity? Is it because they're just choosing to be disobedient? Because that happens too, because they're kids and they're human. Addressing the why makes it a lot easier to figure out how to deal with it. So if it's, that they're tired, well, maybe it's probably not the right time to do school. If they are really energetic, then we need to stop and do some physical activity to get that energy out. And if they're being disobedient, well, then for me personally, that is a discipline problem and we need to deal with that. And so I think that's important. Also, my son can struggle if his sisters are being loud and he's trying to focus on his math or something. And so I'll try and move the noise out of the room, or we'll go somewhere quieter. If they're really little, it could also be dependent on their age and what's appropriate for them. Expecting a 5-year-old to concentrate for more than 5 to 10 minutes at a time is like max for them. And so I would stop and have more frequent breaks, or like direct to a different activity, or, just try different things. If you're doing read alouds, give them something to do with their hands while they're listening to you, because it's hard for them to just sit and listen. So I would just say get creative, think about why it's happening, and see if you can figure out a solution that way. And then she also asked, do you do science with your kids? So yes, we've done it very casually for the past couple years. We have done mostly just nature study. So we did Simply Charlotte Mason this year, and kept it very casual. I do have KiwiCo boxes coming through this year that the kids have done, and they've loved them. I do really, really like them. Unfortunately, they're very expensive, but it was just a one-off. I wanted to try it for a year, and we've thoroughly enjoyed it. I haven't decided what I'm going to do next year. And then we also did the safety unit from The Good and the Beautiful this year, and my kids really enjoyed that as well. So next year we're probably going to be doing at least a couple units from The Good and the Beautiful, as well as a nature study curriculum, which I will share in my upcoming curriculum picks for 2022. So keep an eye out for that. Okay, looking back, what are some benefits you have because you were homeschooled? Looking back, I would say that I had a far more flexible schedule, so I was able to be a kid. I was able to just run and play and do the fun things, and probably be more myself than if I had been in school. I was able to get a job very early on. In fact, my first jobs were like cleaning jobs. Like I cleaned my dad's workshop, and then and like the offices and stuff there. And then I'm a pianist, and so I started teaching piano lessons when I was like 14, and made money that way. I would teach a few lessons a week. And so that was really cool, and I wouldn't have necessarily been able to do that had I been in school. Being self-directed and self-motivated was really, really a blessing that came. I think part of it was personality, but certainly some of it came from being homeschooled as well. And just being able to have time to figure out who I was. And I know that I don't like it when people are like, I'm trying to find myself. I'm like, you're right here. Just like sit down and figure it out. I don't know. I just don't like the airy-fairy of it all. But it is true. You have to it's not that you have to find out who you are. It's that you have to come to terms with who you are and accept yourself. That's the way that God made you. And there's nothing wrong with the way that God made you. I struggled when I went to school with the peer pressure, and I have always been like a people pleaser. And so in those situations, I would really struggle with my deep-seated desire to do the right thing. And part of that is the Holy Spirit, I believe, but also part of it is personality. Like, I'm a firstborn, I'm a rule follower, and so to break the rules was just super hard for me. But I also really wanted to be accepted by my peers. And so homeschooling gave me the opportunity to grow stronger in who I am or who I was. And before, I was like pummeled with that outside pressure to conform to what everybody else wanted me to be. So certainly homeschooling wasn't the magic fix to that all. And definitely I had to go through things as a young adult to figure that out myself. But I do think that I would have struggled a lot more had I been in school. I know I would have, for sure. And I probably wouldn't be as nice a person. I think I would have been, not so nice. Okay, and then I think this is the last one. How does your homeschool method / style differ from your mom's? And I thought this is a really good question. My mom and I, just get on a huge kick from, chatting about homeschool stuff. Like, my mom's like, oh, it makes me want to do it all over again. I think we're very similar, but I will say that my mom's homeschooling style changed a lot towards the end of my homeschool. Like, when we started to when we ended up was different. When we started, it was very textbook based, like follow the curriculum kind of thing. And toward the end, she definitely leaned to more of a Charlotte Mason philosophy. She loved Charlotte Mason. I remember her doing dictation to us and spelling and things like that. I just remember that very clearly. But at the beginning, it was more following textbooks because that's all we knew. And homeschooling was still quite a new concept back then. And so she just kind of followed the trend of what other people were doing in the homeschool community. So I think that I'm very much like my mother. Honestly, I don't think, personality-wise, we're very, very similar. In fact, our family teases us all the time because we often respond in the exact same way. Like, we will jinx each other constantly. So my mom and I are very, very, very similar in our personalities, and we actually teach, I think, in very similar ways. She became an eclectic homeschooler, and 100% I am an eclectic homeschooler. You can't put me in any one box. I do a bit of traditional, a bit of Charlotte Mason, a bit of unit study, all of it all together is what I would class myself as. So honestly, I think I'm the same as she is. Also, at first, and I remember when I first started, I was like, oh no, I'm not going to plan everything down to the minute and da-da-da-da. And I don't now. I don't plan everything down to the minute, but I definitely am a planner. I love my planner. I love sitting down and making a schedule. It doesn't mean that we're tied to it, but it keeps me grounded and keeps me focused. And that was my mom. I remember her vividly sitting at her desk, and she would set aside a day before the school term would start or something, or it was the beginning of the school year, and she'd just be like, don't bother me, I'm planning. And I remember that very vividly. So I think we're pretty much the same. And she gets just as excited about the stuff that I get excited about now. She thinks it's amazing. She's jealous of all the resources that we now have available to us, and even just the greater homeschool community. Although we had a great community when I was growing up. We really did. Our church had a lot of homeschoolers in it, and so we had a sports group, and we did things together. We had a science fair, and I remember doing a garden exhibition once. It was fun, and I've still got lifelong friends from that community. So a very good upbringing, I would say. So those are all the questions that I'm answering today. I can answer more if you ever want them. Leave them in the comments down below, and I'll try and hoard them away for another video sometime. But I thought this was just a fun casual thing for me to do. I didn't have to do any planning. I could just sit down and film. And today has been a good day of everyone feeling healthy again. Praise the Lord. It's been a long 2 weeks. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love?